Hey everybody, what's going on? For today's review, we'll be going out on a test drive in the all-new 2011 Ford Explorer Limited. The purpose of this test drive is to simply demonstrate the overall road manners of the Explorer in both city and highway driving conditions. Throughout the test drive, we will also be going over some of the key performance and overall features throughout the interior cabin. And so, with all of that information in mind, let's go ahead and start the engine, and we'll take you on a drive. This particular Explorer Limited has the white platinum metallic tri-coat exterior. This is one of the lesser loaded limited models. Has the stone leather interior. Let's go ahead and set you guys up and take you for a drive. Apologize for the slightly rough roads. We'll try to get out on some smoother roads to give you a good idea of some of the better road manners of the Explorer. As I'm sure you can tell right off the bat, the interior of the Explorer is extremely quiet. Ford has more focused on the soundproofing of the interior to provide for a more comfortable and relaxing drive. Up front, all standard Explorers are equipped with a 3.5-liter V6 engine, which comes with Ford's twin independent variable cam timing system, which was released within the past year. This engine puts out 290 horsepower and 255 foot-pounds of torque, and is available in both front-wheel and all-wheel drive trims. Four-wheel drive with the traction management system is available in base, XLT, and limited trim levels, essentially all three. As you can see from the beginning of the video, this vehicle does have Ford's all-new Smart Key Access system, which includes push-button ignition and remote start. As you can see, now that we're on slightly smoother roads, the Explorer is quite civilized to just simply cruise around town. EPA estimates for the fuel economy is 17 city and 25 miles per gallon highway. If equipped with the all-wheel drive, you lose 2 mpg in the city, getting an average of 23 miles per gallon on the highway. Either way, Ford has increased the fuel economy in the new Explorer by over 30% compared to its predecessor, the 2010 and previous generation. Not only due to the engine change from the previous 4-liter single overhead cam V6, which only put out about 220 horsepower. At that, it only got 15 and 20 miles per gallon in both city and highway driving conditions. So as you can see, Ford has really stepped up their game. And as you can probably tell by the interior, Ford has also added a lot more technology to the new Explorer. Other options in this limited trim include the all-new My Ford Touch system, which replaces some of the previous Explorers which had just a standard sync and Ford audio system with navigation screen as an option. Now in the limited trim, you can see the entire touchscreen center console, as well as the full touchscreen program, which has 4 separate color-coded corners. In the upper left-hand corner of the screen is a yellow tab which allows you to add phones to the Explorer. All you have to do is simply add the phone, and it will give you a code that you punch into your phone to sync your phone to the car. In the upper right-hand corner on the green tab is your navigation card, in which you have an SD card for the navigation integrated into the lower compartment. On the lower right, you have your dual zone and rear climate controls. And on the lower left, in the red corner, we have the overall audio system. As you can see, the Limited has the Sony stereo system, which is equipped with the all-new My Ford Touch. It actually provides quite a nice surround sound stereo system type feel to it. It does also provide plenty of bass for those subheads out there, or those of you who like a lot of bass. As you can see right now, we're just simply cruising around city streets, so we'll try to get on the highway as quickly as possible to just give you an overall idea of what the Explorer feels like at higher end speeds. Like I said, the entire center console here is all touchscreen, so as you just saw, all I had to do was simply touch the power button for the radio in the center, and it simply shut off without ever having to actually push on a button or two. Within the radio, you also have a 6-disc CD changer, which allows complete and hands-free access. Also, speaking of hands-free access, or semi-hands-free access in this case, you have two little arrow pads here on the steering wheel, which control the two 4.2-inch LCD displays that are on either side of the solid speedometer in the center. On the right LCD screen, you can control the My Ford Touch system without even having to reach over to interact with the overall system. On the left, you have your tachometer, fuel economy display, and other important information like that. And as you can probably guess, the left side arrow pads control the left screen, and the right side arrow pads control the right screen. If there's any kind of ride quality that someone can compare the all-new Explorer to, is the fact that it's much more like a car rather than an SUV. And that's what Ford was really wanting, was that the feeling that you're not sitting a million miles up in the air, you know, where your head's against the ceiling and you're kind of cramped. They wanted it to be roomy and spacious, and more importantly, comfortable for all the passengers. Being the fact that this is a 7-passenger vehicle and weighs a good chunk over 5,000 pounds, it certainly doesn't feel big and heavy like you might expect in most SUVs. In fact, to put it lightly, it's more like a crossover than an actual SUV, being the fact that it takes many of its interior cues and even exterior styling cues from the 2011 Ford Edge, which is essentially a smaller version of the Explorer, only with 5 seats instead of 7. And since we just came upon a sudden red light, you can also see that the brakes are extremely good, having 4-wheel ABS brakes and advanced track roll stability control. The select shift manual is the more smoother side of things. As you can see, there are no jerks between shifting. In most cars, when you have a manually operated automatic transmission, by that I mean you pull the stick from drive or slap it over into sport or what have you, however the transmission works in your vehicle, most people may find that there's either some sort of delay or something like that that kind of lacks between gears. And in most cars, it's not really necessary to have sports car-like, shifting and performance out of a vehicle. But in some instances, it can be a little annoying that the shifts are a lot slower, that they're not up to your expectations, yada yada yada. Whereas in this, like you just saw, I was shifting the vehicle manually, and there is absolutely no lag between gears, and even downshifting, if you were to put it, right now it's in 6th gear, I simply hit the minus button. You see there's absolutely no lag between the gears. other thing too that most people might know with front-wheel drive vehicles, even SUVs, is the hindrance of torque steer. What that means is a vehicle with a lot of power that's front-wheel drive tends to kind of have the wheel kind of wander where it wants to go, and sometimes it'll give you a workout no end for sure. But on the other hand, it can be very difficult to control a vehicle at that standpoint. But in the all-new Explorer, there's practically none of it. It's actually very comfortable and very easy on the hands, and as you can see, for a big bulky SUV, you can't even get wheel spin out of it, even if you turn the traction control off. Also, one other thing I wanted to point out is that in your climate control settings, in Texas weather like this, being the fact that our thermometer here, even though you probably can't see it from the back seat, it says 104 degrees Fahrenheit on the exterior temperature. Now, while that is not normally accurate in most cases, generally in newer vehicles, it can be pretty damn close, or pretty darn close, pardon my French. But in this instance, we do have both heated and air-conditioned seats. So we'll just turn on the air-conditioned seat here, just to provide a little extra comfort for the driver. And one other thing that you might notice, I have my foot about halfway down on the gas, and it's perfectly civilized. As you can see, the wheel doesn't necessarily move in either direction except when I actually steer. And also, speaking of the steering wheel, you do have very slight grip extensions that are both stitched all the way around, and it provides a very relaxed feel to the steering wheel, although it's not as comfortable as, say, a Lexus or a BMW with those pre-fitted gears, but still, all around, very nice. And like I said, even if I was to put my foot in it, nothing really wrong here. Getting a slight bit of whistling noise from somewhere within the cabin, but it's actually not too annoying. After all, it is kind of a breezy day out today, so that's kind of to be expected. Also, for those of you who are on a highway like the one I am on now, you can see some people may not drive as fast as you like. So as you can see, it has plenty of passing power. You know, while 255 pound-feet of torque may not sound like much, believe me, for an SUV of this caliber, even with this much weight riding on all four wheels, the results are quite remarkable. Thing I can certainly say right now is when we first entered this vehicle, it was actually quite hot inside. This vehicle had been sitting out in the sun for a little while, but these air-conditioned seats, well, let's just say they make your drive a whole lot more comfortable, especially in the heat. One other thing that is equipped on more loaded out Explorers and even on the new Edge is the all-new BLIS system. Now, while I myself personally don't know exactly what BLIS stands for, I can definitely say that it is extremely useful when you can't see a vehicle in your blind spot, which is really what it is. There's a little indication that comes up on the left-hand screen that shows the fact that a vehicle is approaching from the left or from the right, and if you may become suddenly too close to that vehicle. It's also very helpful in parking spaces. If you were backing out of a parking space and could not see a person on the other end, there are sensors located in all four corners of the vehicle that recognize any motion of vehicles approaching from either side. We have a little bit of traffic here, so while our light is green, we don't necessarily have the ability to go just yet. There we go. That a lot of people might notice, or actually didn't notice, is aside from the quietness, when you put your foot into it, the Explorer does actually generate a very nice exhaust note. It has dual quasi-chrome tipped exhausts, so that it does provide a good solid noise. Very nice indeed. And as you can see, you put your foot in it, and this SUV really does pick up its skirt and go, as a lot of people have said. So, as we make our final turn, we'll say a last few things about this Explorer. First off, I do hope that all of you viewers have enjoyed this test drive of the all-new Explorer. If you wish to buy one, please do feel free to visit your local Ford dealer wherever you may be, and please do ask for the all-new Explorer. Bearing in mind, you can also customize your own on FordVehicles.com, as well as take a look at some general information about the vehicle itself. To schedule a test drive, simply contact your local dealer and make an appointment to make a test drive. And I can certainly say from this test drive, if you already haven't, that the experience is well worth it. The new Explorer has many new possibilities and many new opportunities to explore. So viewers, on that note, I bid you adieu, and stay tuned to Grand Prix GTPO's 2 channel for more in-depth reviews and test drives of all Ford vehicles and other vehicles of that type. So, thank you for watching everybody, and have a good day.